Well, hello everyone. This is Amandeep Singh, aka the Wizard. Well, as you all know, that I am a mind, body, and soul coach, a persona coach, a card reader, a healer, and an occultist. There have been series of interviews of mine with many different people from different parts of the world, in which we discuss Sufism. We discuss a lot of stuff related to Scientology. We discuss a lot of stuff for witchcraft, Indian Tantra, yoga, and many other different stuff which help our body, mind, and soul. So today we have Startley or Tadpole Slamp with us, and he's from America. He's going to talk to us on a lot of different subjects. Last time we did an interview on Scientology. So let's do it. Let's call him live. So he'll be coming shortly online, and I'll be waiting for him.
Hello.
Here. So how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I wish there was more light here, but there isn't.
Okay, no issues. So as last time we had words and talks about Buddhism and little talks about Scientology and how it works.
Can I stop you for just a moment?
Yeah.
Please call me Thaddeus or Tad, but not Tadpole. And by the way, it's Slarty, by the way. As in Slarty Bardfast of the Hitchhiker's novels. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those.
Okay, Startley. So now I would like to talk about, the topic that we were discussing currently was related to Lemuria, Atlanta, and many other ancient civilizations which are said to be lost.
Atlantis, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about the civilization? Was it fake? Was it story? Was it reality? Or did it have relationship with Sumeria or Egypt or ancient India? What was that according to you?
Well, I'm just a seeker myself, you know. I've been reading, watching the YouTube channel of a guy named Robert Sepper, whose channel is called Atlantean Gardens.
Okay.
And he's a trained anthropologist.
Okay.
But he's very alternative in his take, you know, forbidden archaeology type stuff.
Okay.
You know, I'm usually not taking much interest in Atlantis because I thought that there was only Plato to go by.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's not a lot to go on. If it was an ancient continent, you'd think that there'd be more than one writer that would back then that discussed it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But he seems to imply that there's at least one other reference in Egypt to Atlantis. And I guess there's a historian who mentions him in the ancient world.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings it up to 3 at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I just know what he says, and I have a pretty good idea, having watched so many videos of his, what his argument is.
Okay. So do you think, as a Scientologist yourself, do you have any idea what Scientology has to say about this subject, or they have no views about this subject? What is your take?
Hubbard mentions Atlantis in connection with Egypt in one lecture that I know of.
Okay.
And he just sort of mentions it in passing. that Atlantis and Egypt were involved with UFOs, and it was at least during one period of Egypt, which was a very long-running civilization.
Yeah.
The
older.
That it was a big mess because you had these people from Atlantis and the UFOs all messing around in Egypt.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that can be a possibility because also such kind of theories were there, and such kind of things are shown as a subtle message in many different movies as well. And yep, that could be a reality. So,
but if I had to go by my instincts, I would say I think there's probably was an Atlantis. And I think it probably was a high-tech civilization.
Okay, yeah. So, what do you think, Atlanta? Now, I would like to ask about, do you think that they have conducted, because it's a very advanced civilization. If there was any advanced civilizations, obviously they would be our creators, or they would be our forefathers.
You're paused, man.
Yeah.
And you didn't come in. I didn't even hear what you said.
I'm
Say
saying
that again?
I'm saying that if Atlantis, according to you, was real, and if it was a very advanced civilization, then obviously Atlanta had a lot of technology,
Atlantis.
and they were our forefathers or ancestors, something like that. If they were our ancestors, then they would have access to a lot of stuff and a lot of technology, a lot of bioengineering as well, according to my thinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't know. I just it seems as a person who believes in a time track, when you look at the number of people who've written volume after volume after volume on a place that, as far as anybody knew for a long time, was only mentioned by Plato to tell a story that was an instructive story about what not to do, just a few paragraphs, really.
Exactly. So it could have been something related to the moral, not in reality as well.
Well, no, I think it was real, just because how do you write volumes? And literally, there's people who've written like 10 or 20 volumes. More than one person has written like 10 or 20 volumes about their experiences in Atlantis.
Okay.
So I think it's real, because where are you going to pull that much material out of your hat from? I don't know. I could be wrong.
It can be fantasy, or it can be a reality as well. So, but call it Atlanta or call it anything in the world, but there has to be a civilization who were our forefathers. That can be a reality, because obviously we came from somewhere. And obviously I think, what do you think, that where we came from, were they advanced civilizations, or were they just like chimpanzees as shown in Darwin's theory?
Okay, so I don't want to be making scientists wrong.
Yeah.
I think that that scientists are absolutely right to try to reduce everything to Darwinian evolution, because it's laziness of thought and lack of scientific rigor not to do so.
Yeah.
However, what requires scientific rigor does not necessarily equate to what actually happened.
Yeah, that can be true.
In other words, I don't blame the scientists for having scientific rigor. I just do not dismiss other ways of knowing,
Yep, same here. Even I don't dismiss other ways of knowing, and other possibilities of human evolution. I also feel that there are many classified truths that the scientists or the governments, along with the scientists, may have covered from the knowledge.
Yep, and that's what this guy Robert Sepper is saying. He's not the only person saying any of the stuff I know of that he's saying. There are other people saying it, but he kind of has put it all together. What it comes down to is that science, many branches of science have ended up now having a vested interest from funding by the UN.
Okay.
And it's against the grain of science, but what are you going to do?
I understand. So, well, my question was that a deep question which arises in my mind. Yeah, if there were any civilization, Atlanta or any name that you want to give it, doesn't matter. But if there was any forefathers of us and they were quite advanced civilizations, if they were advanced civilizations, I feel that they would have knowledge to do different form of breeding. It's shown in Mahabharata that Dhritarashtra, the forefathers of Pandavas, he had methodology to something like some kind of bionic pods in which they can create babies, and he created 100 babies, powerful babies, warrior babies, and longer in size and stuff like that, very powerful babies, 100 of them through those pods. If such kind of technology is mentioned there in Mahabharata, is it possible that different breeds, Chinese, blacks, Americans, Native Americans, or whatsoever, many breeds are there, all these breeds are created by our genetic engineers and not just by the climate?
Yeah, anything's possible. Hey, this could be the first moment of your life, and every single thing you remember is up to this point has been a falsely implanted memory.
Yeah.
Welcome. Who knows?
Who knows?
I shouldn't have suggested that I'm into wild speculations that much. I'm just saying, for me, subjectively, on my own personal journey, it turns out there are a few more. References to Atlantis than just Plato, whom I have a ton of respect for. But I mean, he never says this is something that definitely happened. Even he never even says that. He says this is the story. I heard it from such and such. Who heard it from such and such? Tells the sources. And this is the story, and it seems quite instructive to me.
Okay.
So I have tons of respect for Plato.
Okay.
I don't know if you know it, but much of Western magic, I mean, for instance, in Western magic, we have tables of correspondences. Some of the first tables of correspondences we have are in Plato.
Okay.
Are not in, well, yes, not only in Plato, but also in his followers, the Neoplatonists.
And what do you think about
Plato's a big part of our tradition.
Okay.
And yet he's owned by academic philosophy, you might say.
Okay. And what do you think about the so-called Kabbalistic kind of tree of life? Is that tree of life also taken from energy or the wisdom of Plato? Does he mentions anything like that, or is it more related to?
No, it is not.
Biblistic?
But what I would say is that my way of understanding things, true or false as it may be, is this: the best representation we have of the Platonic realms so far are the Kabbalistic tree of life and the I Ching.
Yeah.
That's my way of understanding things, and I really don't even. I'm really not that interested in whether I'm right or not. It's just what I happen to think. That's how I think. It's some peculiarity of the way I think. If I could come up with a way of proving it, or at least providing a lot more evidence for that point of view, I'd love it. But until then, I'm quite satisfied having my own opinion.
Okay. Well, I'll like to place certain scenarios now in front of you. For example, suppose Ted and myself, we are from certain different colonies of Atlanta. Yeah, me and you are from Atlanta. Might be you are an astronomer and I am some kind of scientist or some other profession. We have certain technology, we have certain energies, and we have different way of understanding of cosmos and life. We meet together in a coffee house, in an interdimensional coffee house, where people from many different planets meet in Atlanta. And we make a club where people from many different coffee houses do interview with us. Yeah. Suddenly we get suddenly we get an idea that why don't we take kind of DNA of everyone who is coming here from any different planet, and we keep it safe in our test tube, and later we have a lot of information in test tubes, lot of DNA of many different people in different test tubes. So do you think if we have such kind of stuff, will we try and sell it to someone in Atlanta who knows bionic engineering to create many different races? Do you think we will do that? Think according to your own mind.
I'm not sure where you're going with this. I still think, along with Plato, that the story of Atlantis is really a morality tale in the Indian sense, in the Hindu sense. This is I think my instincts tell me that it's a story of dharma, karma-based ethics.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think that the bridge between the worlds was stronger, so that there was a different type of technology that we couldn't even do today because the spirits involved are less advanced, and that group of spirits chose an unethical route, which in fact was a big part of what led to us going on to a lower plane. And I believe that India is on a slightly higher plane than the rest of the world, India and possibly China. In fact, my latest thinking is that I think that India is, you look towards India if you want to see whether your intuition is good, and you look to China, you go to China to incarnate in China to improve your ethic. I realize that what China is doing is just so against the grain of freedom. And I think what they did to the Dalai Lama is a hideous travesty. But these are people who I believe are dedicated to wisdom in the moral sense.
Yeah.
In other words, we will act wise. We are not going to we will not be the people that are become known for having done, hideous wastes of resources. That's.
Yeah.
I don't know if you and I, you act so friendly towards me, but you and I really hardly know each other. I don't think I've ever even told you that I've been studying the I Ching since I was 20.
No, I haven't known that. I don't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. So you were in a university in China?
Say that again?
No,
I was not in the university. I've been studying the Yi Jing since I was 20. We have we have translations.
Okay. That's great. So I just wanted to know, suppose if we, as beings, as humans, if we have certain technology, and we discuss that we have DNAs of different people collected in our test tubes. So will we go further as a human being? Is it a tendency to create something more? If we have possibility to create more different kind of breeds like us, would we want to see how they behave and how they grow? And if we have the possibility to create them, will we create them or not? I mean, just as a human being.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Let's leave it then. Okay, I was just saying.
Okay.
Suppose if you have a possibility of creating something, then I feel that it's a human tendency, and it comes from the source, it comes from the creator. It also wanted to bifurcate, divide, and create something. And the same kind of quest and same kind of intention is implanted somewhere here in our human mind as well. So we also want to create something, and we also have quest for something.
All I can say is the nature of the universe, I think, both according to Scientology and Hinduism, is that as soon as we had individual egos, anything that could happen eventually would happen. Anything we could do, eventually we would do. You get enough people, somebody's gonna do something. There's a test in economics that certain professors do, in which the solution to the problem at hand is that you simply do not engage in any economic behavior. But he just sits there in the class, he makes the offer, and the professor doesn't say anything until somebody does something. Somebody always eventually does something.
Yeah. So you answer my question that whatever possibilities human mind holds, we eventually end up doing something. I mean, somebody is gonna do the same thing that you are only thinking of. That can be possible. And if the ideas are there, somebody is eventually gonna act upon those ideas.
Yeah, somebody's gonna do it. Somebody's gonna do it. And if you stop them from doing it, then that person's a martyr.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? And so then the revenge must occur.
Then the whole game duality starts.
Jacques de Molay of the Templars, maybe that guy actually was scum, just like the Catholics say.
Yeah.
But in Illuminatus by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Anton Jay, there's a few times when somebody pulls off a nasty bit of political maneuvering, and they say triumphantly, "Jacques de Molay, thou art again avenged." Okay, well, we know that the Templars started the first international corporations and invented banking.
Yeah.
As we have it today.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think that Templars are Illuminati, or they're different?
I don't know that much about it. I have something of a scientific bias. I don't have a strong attraction to speculation on matters upon which I don't have much information.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm not a big speculator.
Okay.
I speculate when I have to. is my basic feeling on that. Like if my feeling of rightness with the way I think gets to the point where I'm uncomfortable, then I will begin to speculate, and that's, like we were saying earlier in this interview, we were I was telling you my what I think on Atlantis. Well, it's only because I had gotten to the point where I wouldn't feel right and wouldn't feel right for a long period of time if I didn't begin to have an opinion on the subject, you know?
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
I'm not quite a scientist, but I have some of that bias.
That's great. So, as last time we had a word about, Scientology, Buddhism, and the perspective of Scientology and Buddha and ancient Indian spirituality is approximately about karma and dharma and, deeper mystical stuff. Do you think if there were any older civilizations? I know it happened. Egypt has got this kind of wisdom. This kind of wisdom they have that it goes deeper, deeper. It's very ancient, mystical, and it resembles a lot to ancient Indian wisdom as well. So, do you think if there was any civilization like Atlanta, did they have the same kind of ancient wisdom like you
As
see in
what?
Buddhism, as you see in Buddhism, as you see in Scientology, or as you see in many ancient different cultures, ancient Hindu or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think they had it to a greater degree.
Yeah.
Possibly. All right. Well, no. I think they were the first. I think that they were the first to take to go from wisdom to knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge are not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So they had.
Most people aren't aware. Okay, here in the West, most people are not aware of ethics. The sort of subject that ethics was in the ancient world. It's right there in Hinduism, man. Karma, dharma. It's your. It has to. Ethics is based on your sense of, on a sense of God, on a sense of God and your place in the universe.
Exactly. And let's move towards a little about Marvel comics and their subtle messages that they give. I like a character a lot. There are some characters that, in fact, that I like a lot. I like Silver Surfer a lot, and there is a character of Galactus, and he is the devourer. He is the devourer of the worlds, and he's not like a typical villain. He's more like a god. He's more like
absolutely. I'm quite familiar. I was way into Marvel comics when I was in my teens and 20s.
Exactly.
Early 20s.
And Silver Surfer is obeying the command of his master. And in that, I think in that comic, there was a concept of, different worlds that he came from different world, and many other. There was a female character later on, Nova.
Shala Ball. Her name was Shala Ball.
Yeah,
I wrote a poem about Shala Ball. I wrote a poem from her point of view. I still remember a few lines from it. You want to hear them?
Yeah, surely.
Okay, so, oh, speeding streak across the sky, some think you a falling star. But you can't fool me, my love, for I know who you are. And here's the ending line is, I don't remember the line before it, but there's another line that goes, I knew that speeding streak of light when he was Norin Rad, which is the name of the Silver Surfer before.
Norin Rad, it was his name before he became Silver Surfer. So there was a concept of different worlds, that Nova came from different world and Silver Surfer came from different world. Their memory is blocked by Galactus so that they cannot think much about their older world. So it's shadowed. I can relate a little with humanity as well, how it's behaving. And Scientology also says that our memories are clouded because we are stuck in a smaller game. But there's another point that I want to make. There was another concept of universal library. I mean, that's a big thing. I would love to think about certain place where all the intergalactic wisdom and highest of the highest wisdoms and those people collect and talk about what is happening in our cosmos. Can there be possibility that Atlanta was that place, or maybe Atlantean had contacts with such universal library where people or highest wisdom, wise people from different galaxies come and collect there and discuss about the wisdom and technology of different places in the cosmos? Is that possible? I mean, that's a very fascinating idea.
Yeah, look, as with the last interview, you're asking me to be much more speculative than is my preference.
Yeah, I'm going to fantasy world.
Yeah. Yeah, anything's possible. Mostly you get that too far down that road, and I'm like, yeah, smoke another bong hit, and we could come up with another one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these ideas coming into my mind. Why? Because a very good friend of mine, he's a high-level Golden Dawn. So he came into nowadays he's in India, and I was very fascinated by some of his online videos. One of them is some kind of programming kind of poetry where he's wearing dress like Tron, the Legacy, the movie that you have seen. Have you seen that Tron?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's more like a digital kind of dress, and where you can see binary code, something like that. So this is a person, a higher wisdom. He has attained something, and he has turned himself into binary codes, and these binary codes are understood by the higher civilizations as well. He's reciting poetry to them, and they're responding back with bravo or fantastic or something like that. And that's one concept. And there is another concept of intergalactic coffee house, where people from different galaxies come, sit together and have chit chat about their wives and stuff like that. So that's where this idea came from. That's a very fascinating idea. And in the same way, that universal library idea got into my mind because I have seen that in Silver Surfer and one more cartoon or character somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
when you do this, I think you're being an enemy to spirituality when you go off on the wildest tangent you can think of. Look, man, it's like this. Scientists are loath to admit it, but no scientist can explain why it is that although they are of completely different sizes, the sun and the moon appear to be the exact same size when viewed with the human eye. And the odds against it are astronomical, literally.
exactly.
Okay? There is reason to believe
Exactly.
that spirit is real. There is reason to believe in a certain sort of mystic pattern.
Yeah. That's great.
We have seasons that are approximately the same length.
Yep, exactly. So there are a lot of misconceptions that can be there. That is why I feel that science and creativity and imagination, they go hand in hand. I mean, there can be a lot of foolish stuff that can come up, but there are a lot of possibilities as well which can come up through this kind of Einstein is a very imaginative man.
Say that again. You got paused again.
Okay, I'm saying that I think science and imaginative thinking go hand in hand, and hence even Einstein used to be a very imaginative man. There are a lot of foolish things which can come up, but at the same time, I think that there are a lot of possibilities that can come up, and later on, science can start working on it. It's just like, in Star Trek, they showed a mobile kind of device in which they are talking, and now mobile is a reality, and we are talking face to
Oh yeah.
face. Yeah, so that was kind of
Yeah.
imaginative thinking, at that time.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot that can be said about that. There is a book by Powles and Berger, the writers of one of them's German, one of them's French.
Okay.
Authors of Morning of the Magician.
Okay.
Well known, called Impossible Possibilities. And they predicted, I'd say in the mid-70s, all the stuff we're seeing now. That was laid out as technology-wise. They knew a lot of, apparently a lot of scientists. And I'm not sure how they got in communication with scientists, but they were in communication with enough scientists that they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
In the mid-70s. They predicted smartphones.
Yeah, that's great. So there have been a lot of predictions and a lot of creative thinking, which caused a lot of predictions as well, and they were kind of precise. Maybe something downloaded from the higher wisdom into our mind, and then somebody wrote something, and it was like a prophecy.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I would like to come to an end to this discussion with one point. What do you think? Like we were discussing about the higher civilizations and everything.
We still haven't discussed Crowley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So what about Crowley? I mean, I find him a very fascinating man, and a very experimental person. Completely different from our traditional views. I'll explain a little bit about our traditional views. In traditional views, magic, yoga, tantra, and everything was quite secretive in China as well, and in Indian societies, in Japan as well. So it used to be transferred from master to their son or to their students secretively. Now it has opened up a little bit. Still, people are much afraid from magic in India, and I feel my relatives from England, they come to India as well, and whenever they come, we meet them, and if certain topics arises, they say that people in UK and in America believe in this stuff much more than you people do. And even police believes that during full moon, more crimes are about to occur. In some places, it is there. I mean, this psychology is there. So people believe in this stuff. What I want to say is that in our ancient civilizations, it was more secretive. What I like about Crowley is that he has opened up a little bit. He has experimented. He has traveled. He has gone to many different conscious states in order to open up different channels for people to understand what magic really is and how can they use it in their real lives. So what do you have to think about it? What is your take on it?
I suppose what I would start off with is different civilizations classify different things as magic and different things as religion.
Yeah.
In other words, ancient Egypt is a very magical pantheon. I mean, they're gods, like, if you guess the name of their god, the true name of a god, you get power over the god. That's a very magic-oriented idea. In ancient Greece, they dissed magic, but most of ancient Greek religion is what we would now call magic.
Yeah.
That's their religion, okay? And so, like, when you get up to Crowley and even a bit before, when he's talking about magic, he's talking about, a lot of what he's talking about is the stuff that you would call dharma and karma, or maybe possibly also dhyana. I always forget what that means. I'm going to have to look that up. I mean, it's just because these concepts are so alien to the Western way of thinking. Well, as in India, they've still got some of the ancient mindset that was present in Greece and Egypt.
Yeah.
So when Crowley says magic, some of it is what you in India would call magic, but some of it is what you would call religion.
Yeah.
And I mean, from my point of view, the occultism is not a cult in either India or China, and probably not Japan as well. I'm biased against the Japanese. I think they're weird. I've just always thought Japanese people were weird. Like they've always been weird. You can't even blame it on the bomb. They were weird from the get-go. But nonetheless. So, I'm sorry. I think Japanese people are weird. I mean, and like Japanese stuff is so in these days too, you know. So I'm probably making a lot of enemies. So I mean, I think that would be the main thing I would start off with. I mean, you hit it on the button when you said he went into a lot of different higher states of consciousness. I literally believe that India is in a higher state of consciousness as a nation than most of the rest of the world. Like I say, we've discussed this. Like Gandhi is the only person to prove on a political level that higher consciousness exists. I mean, if you can't see that his way of dealing with English rule with higher consciousness, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You know, you got him out of there. You handled it, and he didn't shed an ounce of blood to do it. Bam.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bam.
That's true. So that was about, different prospects of Crowley about magic, and also his different weird ways of summoning. What do you think about what he's calling demons? He's calling different state of mind. What is your take on that? The Goisha demons, are they all just state of minds, or they can be real entities which can be summoned?
Well, actually, Crowley was a little bit other people from his tradition. He came from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Other people from his tradition were much more mental about it than he was. He might be mental in comparison to whatever you're comparing him to, but compared to other members of the Golden Dawn, he was less mental. For instance, Crowley defined magic as causing change in accordance to one's will. But another member of the Golden Dawn, Dion Fortune, said redefined it as changes in consciousness in accordance to one's will. But I think that's a semantics game, personally.
Yeah, I understand that. So Crowley, that's what I like in Crowley, that the changes in consciousness, that I term as a little bit of experimentation with the higher magic, which is the sole purpose of higher magic is to attain the enlightenment and the higher states. The lower magic, however,
he was very much a doubter, but magic proved itself to him, kind of like me.
Yeah, and the lower magic.
He has a couple of famous sayings about that. Or one of them's a poem. We place no reliance in virgin nor pigeon. Our method is science. our aim is religion.
Yeah.
So, another poem of his goes, I drank and danced all night, or no. Oh, yes, I sat and talked with Faith, and I found her a corpse in the morning. I danced and drank all night with doubt. I found her a virgin in the morning.
Yeah.
So those are two poems about Crowley's opinion on doubt. So, yeah, there's definitely. I mean, the name of his journal, the subtitle is a Journal of Scientific Illuminism.
Okay.
Yeah, so totally, science is totally about what Crowley's about, yeah.
Yeah. So also his different methodologies of practicing different consciousness and to get deeper into meditation and also to fire your will. I mean, some of his exercises are like looking to your thumb and then you visualize your thumb. Each bit and piece and each dimension, you draw it in your mind to, make your envisioning stronger and stronger and stronger. And when this happens, then you envision a scenario and then you can fire your will and then you can make things happen. Slowly, it starts happening. So his
Interesting.
his ideas about making changes practically in our practical life and practical situations, that is what I think the sole purpose of lower magic is, because you cannot get into higher magic if your basic necessities are not fulfilled. And even in India, in Tantra, it is said that with the power of magic, with the power of Shiva, because in India, magic is all given by Shiva and Shakti. Yeah. With the power of magic, a sadhak or a wizard understands his will, the true materialistic will, and then true higher will. He knows both. And then because he cannot lay emphasis and his mind cannot run to the higher consciousness, if his basic food, clothing necessities are not fulfilled, and if his body is not satisfied, and he's going through pain and he's going through leprosy, he's going through some kind of disease, how can he go into higher consciousness? First of all, he has to, cleanse himself and then, attain some materialistic stuff, at least so that he can sit silently and think about the higher consciousness. So to attain those, very simple, logical, and the basic needs, at least, you can manifest those things slowly with the help of magic. That's what I liked about Crowley, a very practical approach. But like we were talking about Lemuria and many different.
Well, let's say that. Because Hubbard was what in terms of practicalness, Hubbard makes Crowley look like a
baby.
Look like a blatant idealist. And let's be real about it. Part of Crowley was an absolute idealist in the actual philosophical sense of the term.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Idealism comes from Plato. Plato basically asserts that this world is just the manifestation of a higher world. And that the philosopher is trying to get idiots out of the lower world and into the higher world. And I absolutely think that Crowley believed that. So he tried to keep, for a person who believed in a literal higher realm that anybody could go to, Crowley was very practical, as most people are, but less notoriously so. Hubbard, I don't think Hubbard believed. Hubbard describes some of the higher realms of having long been vacated. So you go there and there's really nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
Is what I believe he has said on a few occasions. Yeah.
That metaphorical or symbolic that he is
Who
saying?
knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Again,
Um,
a person
like
finds.
for a person who's absolutely third eye blind,
Yeah.
Hubbard will get you to where you can decide whether you want to look into the higher realms yourself or go his route. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not trying to. I'm not going to assert one way or the other whether Hubbard was a good person or a bad person. But he'll take a person who's third eye blind and get them to the point where they at least have a little bit of theta perception, as he would call it.
Okay. Okay. That's
Perception of spirit.
interesting. That's interesting. Well, like we have discussed about many different civilizations, advanced civilizations, obviously they would have technology and their ways of magic and different stuff. We call it magic, they might be calling it something else. Now, all the advanced civilizations, as per the story, might be they created a new race, or from which the new races appeared. We came many different times. Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age came, then we came, and now lot of political issues in the world, lot of wars, lot of stuff. What if there is any such civilizations which comes back to Earth and takes a decision, like in a movie, the day the Earth stood still? It is said that they have been living with us in human form since a long time, and they have been seeing that what human have done to Earth, and they want life breeding planets. So we are not important on Earth. Earth is important because there are very few planets which can actually breed life. So if they think that Earth is a planet to breed good life, and they have been watching humans, that what they have been doing to planet Earth, and do you think any such thing can happen, that whether nature metaphorically would try to quarantine humans or all life, wash away all life once? Any such kind of apocalypse, do you think is this going to happen soon, or is there time?
I don't care. Isn't that a horrible thing to say? Isn't that a horrible thing to say? I don't care.
Even I don't care. But these ideas are quite fascinating. I would care if some so-called elite people are saved, and only people like me or you are gonna get killed. Otherwise, I don't care. If everybody is gonna get killed, then it's okay. But if the life and Earth is again after being washed.
How's that? Here in America, we had a group of people called the Puritans, I believe, who used to say, have a saying that went something like this: all are sinners except for thee and me, and I have my doubts about thee.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah, but it's definitely a concern that suppose if this Earth, after being quarantined, is going to the hands of idiots and fools and cruel people once again, then what's the fun of quarantining the Earth once again? What's the fun of this quarantine then? If it has to be quarantined, then it has to be for all. Once it is done, then might be new civilizations or good people or good
I don't know what
civilization.
you mean by quarantine. You say quarantine, and it sounds like what you mean, both this conversation and the last one, is destruction, as in destroy the Earth. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, some kind of natural calamities, like it is happening already. I mean, if something big happens on mass level on Earth, then
Hmm.
or for
Then, well, I know that the elites of the UN, I think, UN and various other internationalist groups that have been going since at least the beginning of this century, and yet all through history, they're just getting more powerful now
yeah,
because we are going to go towards planethood. People can feel it. We're getting to the point where people feel like they're members of the human race.
yeah,
And then what's going to stop us from becoming one people eventually once that happens? It's taken a long time. I mean, it's taken a long time for us to get to where we are a global village.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so then at that point, the question, okay, it seems to me that the people that were already there, you know, that were at the point where the world wasn't so huge anymore, decades before us, you know, they had pretty much decided a long time ago that they'd like to get the population down to a not so ridiculous high population, you know, and it's not a matter of can we do it. I mean, we could let the engineers do things the way they considered most logical. Let engineers rule the earth,
yeah, yeah,
and they could probably sustain a population of 20 billion.
yeah,
I mean, there's really no there if we made it our only thing practically that we thought about, that it was our highest priority or one of our highest priorities to figure out how to manage huge populations of people, we could
yeah,
probably do it. But would we want to?
yeah.
Okay, and so the elites have been planning for some time to do a culling of the population, a eugenics project of the population. This is documented.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I disagree, man. Hey, I believe in liberty and freedom like the founding fathers talked about, you know. Well,
Yeah,
if we got to the point where we were being managed by engineers, that freedom would be eroded. Our lives would be being run by engineering concepts.
exactly.
Nobody wants that.
It would.
So it would. So we could do it. We could do almost any size of population you like, but would we want to? The quality of life would be reduced.
Yeah, exactly. So if that is going to happen, then I would feel that it's better that Earth should be quarantined once. Because humans should not live like that. I don't feel that humans should do this to other humans, or humans should be doing this to the massive
Well,
population.
Hindus, like both Catholics and Jews, shouldn't have a lot to say about that because, like Catholics and Jews, Hindus, I believe, some of them, when they do not have the money to actually support those huge families.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, in ancient India, what it is said that uh, avatars of Vishnu, avatars of Shiva, and avatars of Kali, when there is a lot of sins, and sins in some practical terms, uh, like whatever we are doing to our race, human race, and animals and earth, this is sin as per ancient Indian wisdom. If that increases a lot, then avatars come and quarantine the earth because it is required, and because humans understand no more how to handle their own planet. So they quarantine everything and new civilizations are born, or they just quarantine uh, those